So what happened last week is that the DNC decided to support this candidate, Heath Mello, who is a candidate for mayor in Omaha. He is in a long line of, we're assured, very progressive Democrats who happens to not only oppose reproductive rights, but as a state senator in Nebraska, have actually supported a 20-week ban, voted against telemedicine, which is really key to being able to have abortion services, especially in states where there are these bans. And there's very controversial language in this bill, but certainly have supported, and to some measure, an ultrasound bill. So it's sort of, there's been a lot of defense of this guy saying, no, but he tried to make the bill better by making it a voluntary ultrasound. It's very complicated. He signed a bad bill. He co-sponsored bad bills. He did work as a state senator in Nebraska to make Nebraska one of the hardest states in which to get an abortion, okay? And now he's running for mayor of Omaha. And when Tom Perez and Bernie Sanders were doing their extremely awkward unity tour last week, they were doing their road show, and they were going to an event for Heath Mello. Now, the thing that was bad here, first of all, Bernie did say a specific thing. He was sort of ambivalent about Jon Ossoff, the candidate in Georgia's 6th district, and said he wasn't sure. He said, not all Democrats are progressives. I want to support progressives. I'm not sure if Jon Ossoff is progressive. He later sent out after there was a firestorm, he later sent out a very supportive message saying he's behind Jon Ossoff. But his first impulse was Jon Ossoff isn't progressive enough. Then he was asked, so you're going out to campaign for Heath Mello? And he said, well, this fellow in Nebraska, if he can win, that sends a real message that we can elect a progressive candidate. So that definition of progressivism did not include a commitment to supporting reproductive rights. Now, the problem here, there's a long history of this in the Democratic Party, which is exactly the problem. When pushed, both Bernie and Tom Perez, who were out on this unity tour to lead the Democrats into their bright progressive future, initially doubled down and said, as if they had just invented this idea, no, in order to get voters in red states, we should really think about this strategy. We could reach them on other issues. And this is, Bernie has been saying some stuff about this, saying, okay, so we might disagree on what he calls social issues or cultural issues like abortion or guns, but we can reach them on economic issues. Economic issues and reproductive rights are the same. There is no economic progressivism without reproductive autonomy. But the thing that was really bad about this is not about Heath Mello. On the one hand, I care very much. If I lived in Omaha, I would vote for Heath Mello, as I have voted for anti-choice Democrats my entire life, because I have always been held hostage by the Democratic Party, which is always telling me that they have a brilliant new strategy to elect more Democrats, which is that if we can just get some great progressive Democrats who don't believe in women's reproductive autonomy, then we can have all the power we want. And no women will be hurt in this process until you hit the Stupak-Pitts Amendment in the middle of healthcare reform, where it turns out that healthcare reform is supposed to benefit everybody except women who can't have access with this new reformed healthcare to their abortion care. So, It is not about Heath Mello. It is about what we are now in a moment where we have this promise that we can have a new, more progressive future. And in part, this is brought to us by Bernie, who's so left-wing. In part, it is brought to us by Tom Perez, who's left. Look, I wanted him to be Hillary's running mate. These are the left guys. And they're suggesting this strategy that honestly has been deployed forever. This is Tim Kaine, this is Joe Biden, this is the history of these guys, not all guys, some women too, in the Democratic Party, who Joe Biden, voted for the Hyde Amendment in versions that did not include exceptions for the life and health of the mother. Okay, there are really strong, Bob Casey's, who I grew up with in Pennsylvania, really strongly anti-abortion Democrats have been a fact of life in this party for a long time. And they were most recently promoted by none other than Rahm Emanuel in 2016 when he ran the DCCC and decided we could get a House if we could just run anti-choice Democrats. So my problem with what happened last week regarding Heath Mello was not Heath Mello. It was the fact that the new leadership that's telling us that we have a new higher progressive bar that we have to reach is actually just trying to sell as their own new brilliant idea, a strategy that women a strategy that has been forced on women over and over and over again. And it sucks because women and people of color families of color who are most profoundly affected by restrictions on abortion and on reproductive autonomy are the base of the Democratic Party, and they don't have anywhere else to go, and that is fundamentally why they do this. Because they know, what are we going to do, vote for Republicans? And so they screw over their base again and again because they know they have us. And they don't even have to. New polling, it used to be, but we'd get so many more people to vote for Democratic candidates if we just, opposed abortion. All contemporary polling tells us that basic support for Roe is at 70% even in red states. We do not have to trade this shit out.